All right. So another one that we are getting a lot of questions about, and we want to make sure that everybody has a good understanding, is getting engagement in the rear delt on shoulder days. Obviously, we usually think of shoulders, most of the movements are primarily geared towards the lateral and front heads of the delt. So this poor little rear delt back here often gets neglected, but what happens, and Colleen can vouch for this, when the rear delt gets too weak and everything else becomes over dominant, we have this lovely thing called anterior rotation where our shoulder wants to be pulled and sit forward. This makes the scapula flare. This causes a lot of issues of neck, upper and middle back pain because all of these muscles are now being stretched and stuck in a lengthened position underneath tension because it's actually trying to pull your body back into correct alignment. Sadly, our bodies are typically not good enough to actually be able to just fix this problem on their own, so we have to be very intentional with our movements. And the best way to do this is by making sure that we are priming and activating the rear delt before we start our shoulder workouts. So what Colleen is going to do here with just a very, very light resistance band is she is going to set up, go ahead my dear, as you would. So just like everything else that we always tell you, retract the shoulders back, drop the scapula down, lock the T-spine. We want everything right here, these traps and rhomboids, set and locked down so that way the shoulder is stabilized, it's secure, it's in position. And what this is going to do is it's going to make sure that our back isn't taking over and doing this exercise for us, and it's going to allow us to pinpoint the tension into the muscle grouping where we want it. So what she is going to do, a lot of people will often make the mistake on rear delts and they start up here and we're way out here and we're trying to pull and force back. Well, the problem here is the leverage point. We have to remember where the attachment of the rear delt is and where the insertion points are. What ends up happening, they don't run directly across like this. It's not like the sternal head or the clavicle head of the chest. Instead of running straight across, it's actually kind of at a angle and it loops back because we have the teres minor that comes over the top here. So what we want to do is we want to find a good tension point. Now do this, start up here, wiggle a little bit. You're gonna find a spot when you're just barely spreading. So as you can see, she's not doing anything crazy, but she's got just enough tension on that band that she can feel it. And she's gonna find that location where she feels the tension in the rear delt, but it's not a pain, it's not an impingement. So for most people, this, instead of being up in this range, it's typically roughly at about 45 degrees. Some people it's a little bit less. I will often hit mine very, very low, and that really helps with this upper development of the rear delt. So find that point that's comfortable where you have good tension, but we're not getting any pain, and we're noticing that the tension is staying in the shoulder, it's not radiating up into the neck. Now once we've done that, we're gonna fly back. So like she said, so the thing here, and this is the same cue that you want to keep in your head when you're doing any of these rear delt fly exercises, is it's not a row. We're not pulling it backwards. We're not thinking of going back. We're thinking of going out. Perfect. Now the whole time while she's doing this, her back has stayed locked in place. The shoulder blades are down and back. We have tension here. Shoulder is stabilized. And as she is moving, all of that tension is getting put right here into that rear delt head. Yeah, good contraction. Do these, I recommend, realistically, probably 3 to 4 sets of anywhere from 6 to 12 reps, whatever you feel. We're not trying to pre-exhaust and do this. I mean, granted, this can work as an exercise in and of itself, especially for rehabilitative purposes. But if we're doing it before a shoulder workout, we don't want to pre-exhaust. So do 2-3 sets of 6 to 12 reps. Just make sure that we're getting really good contraction. And once you're consistently getting that really good contraction, and every time you're doing this, you're feeling that engagement, go ahead, whether it's, a machine rear delt fly, a cable rear delt fly, dumbbell, bent over fly, whatever it is, go ahead and jump into that next while that contraction is still there, and we're gonna build that mind-muscle connection.
You'll follow the same pathway, whether it's dumbbell, machine, rear delt fly movements. You want the same pathway to stay a little bit lower if you go higher and you are getting pinching in the back and you're feeling it more and you're trapping your neck.